The night my wife got promoted, she came home like a stranger wearing my wife's face. She didn't hug me. She didn't ask about my day. She just looked at me and said, "I don't need you anymore. You're replaceable." She tossed her new company badge on the counter like it was a trophy, poured herself a drink, and said, calmly, like she was reading a report, "I don't need you anymore. You're replaceable." Not shouted. Not in anger. Just cold. Final. And the crazy part? I didn't argue. I didn't beg. I didn't even raise my voice. Because in that exact moment, I realized something that took me years to learn: a person who thinks you're replaceable has already been rehearsing your absence in their head. So I smiled, nodded like I understood, and went to bed like everything was normal. But I didn't sleep. I just lay there in the dark, staring at the ceiling, listening to her type on her laptop in the living room, working late again, while our golden retriever, Milo, pressed his head against my leg like he could feel my chest cracking. And that's when I started the plan. My name is Ethan. I'm 38, and I'm a senior physician assistant at Lakeview Medical Center in Chicago. I make good money now, about $150,000 a year, but it didn't come easy. I did the brutal rotations. I took the extra certifications. I worked holidays when everyone else was posting family photos. I learned how to stay calm when a room is falling apart. And I thought that skill would protect my marriage. It didn't. I met my wife, Lauren, in college. She was charismatic, sharp, the kind of person who could walk into a room and suddenly everyone leaned toward her like gravity changed. She went into communications, then marketing. Nothing glamorous at first: long days, tight deadlines, bosses who acted like team player meant available 24/7. We built a normal life. A 2-bedroom apartment. Friday night takeout. A dog from a shelter. Sunday mornings where she'd sit with coffee and I'd make breakfast and we'd talk about everything and nothing. We weren't perfect, but we were real. And for a long time, I genuinely believed we were a team. Then Lauren landed a job at a fast-growing agency called Apex Bridge, and after 2 years of grinding, she finally got what she'd been chasing: a promotion to senior account manager. Her salary jumped. Her wardrobe changed. Her schedule became a moving target. And slowly, her tone with me changed too. At first it was subtle. She stopped saying "we" when she talked about the future. She started saying "I." Then she started coming home later. Midnight. 1 a.m., sometimes later. And every time I asked if she was okay, she'd answer like I was accusing her of something. "I'm busy, Ethan. This is what success looks like." Her phone became a locked vault. New password. Always face down. Always in her hand. She started taking calls in the bedroom with the door shut, laughing softly like she was sharing a private joke with someone who wasn't me. When I tried to talk about it, she hit me with the same line every time: "You're being dramatic." Then came the charges. Not huge ones, not at first. A $214 hotel deposit. A $36 valet charge. A late-night lounge tab. I told myself it had to be clients. Events. Corporate things I didn't understand. But the dates didn't match her calendar. And the worst part wasn't even suspicion. It was the feeling of being edited out of my own marriage, while being told I was crazy for noticing. It happened on a Thursday. I just finished a 12-hour hospital shift. I was drained, the kind of tired where your bones feel heavy. Lauren was on the couch, scrolling through her phone with a small smile. Not a happy smile. A private one. I sat down and said, carefully, "I miss you." She didn't look up. "I'm here." "No," I said. "You're not." That's when she finally looked at me, irritated, like I'd interrupted something important. "I've been working my tail off, Ethan. I don't have time for this. I'm not mad about work, I said. I'm scared we don't talk anymore. I feel like I'm losing you. She leaned back and let out this slow breath, like I was exhausting her. Then she said it. Not yelling. Just quiet and sharp. Maybe because you're clinging. Maybe because I've outgrown this whole setup. I swallowed. What are you saying? She took a sip of her drink, eyes still on me like she was evaluating a problem. I'm saying I don't need you the way I used to. You're replaceable, Ethan. There it was. The sentence you never forget. The kind that changes your body temperature. I stared at her, waiting for her to realize what she'd done. She didn't. She just turned back to her phone like the conversation was over. And I swear, something inside me went quiet. Not numb. Not angry. Just, clear. Because in that moment, I stopped seeing her as my wife. I started seeing her as someone who benefited from my life, and was ready to keep the benefits without respecting the person. So I stood up, walked to the kitchen, and looked around our apartment like I was seeing it for the first time. Not the furniture. Not the walls. The system. The invisible system I ran that made her life smooth. The bills. The insurance. The savings. The subscriptions. The car maintenance. The emergency fund. The connections. The relationships. That Ethan will handle it. I realized Lauren didn't just think I was replaceable. She thought everything I did was automatic. Like electricity. Like it just happened. And that was my mistake. I made her comfort feel inevitable. That night, while she typed away on her laptop like I didn't exist, I opened my own laptop. Not to argue. Not to vent. To organize. To separate. To rebuild. Quietly. Methodically. Like someone preparing for surgery. By sunrise, Lauren still believed I'd get over it. She still believed she had the power. She had no idea that while she slept, I'd already taken the first step. And the first step wasn't leaving. It was making sure that when I did, she'd finally understand what replaceable really costs. I didn't move out that night. Not because I was weak. Because I was precise. In the hospital, you learn something fast: if you panic, you make mistakes. And mistakes cost you more than pain ever will. So I didn't give her a scene. I gave her silence. And I gave myself time. The first receipt the next morning, Lauren acted normal. Not apologetic. Not guilty. Normal. Like her words were just honesty, and I was supposed to evolve. She kissed the air near my cheek, didn't even touch me, and said, "Big day. Don't wait up." Then she left, heels clicking like punctuation. I stood in the kitchen, holding my coffee, staring at the spot where her badge had been the night before. Then my phone buzzed. A banking notification. A charge on our shared card. $189, Morrison House Boutique Hotel. I didn't blink. I didn't rage text. I just opened my notes app and typed, date. Time. Amount. Location. Because now I wasn't a husband trying to fix things. I was a man preparing to protect his life. The pattern over the next week, I watched everything the way I watch vitals on a monitor. Not obsessively. Clinically. If you've ever been lied to by someone who swears you're overthinking, you know the feeling. You start questioning your own reality. So I stopped relying on feelings. I relied on patterns. Lauren's phone would die 4 hours on the same nights: Tuesday, Thursday, sometimes Saturday. Her calendar would be packed with client work, but there were no client dinners listed. And then, always, some random charge would appear: a valet fee downtown, a lounge tab at midnight, a hotel deposit, rideshares to areas she never had business in. The numbers weren't the worst part. The worst part was the confidence. She wasn't hiding anymore. She was just counting on me staying quiet. Because she believed I was too replaceable to do anything about it. 2 weeks after her promotion, she came home at 3:26 a.m. I remember the exact time because I was sitting on the couch, fully dressed, shoes on, staring at the clock like it owed me an explanation. Milo was next to me, wide awake, ears twitching at every sound in the hallway. The lock clicked. Lauren stepped in, and I smelled the truth before she even spoke. Not perfume. Not wine. That sharp hotel lobby scent, clean, artificial, expensive. She froze when she saw me. "What are you doing up?" she asked, like I was the weird one. "I couldn't sleep," I said calmly. She rolled her eyes, walked toward the kitchen, and tossed her purse on the counter like she was throwing away a problem. Then I noticed something small. Her hair wasn't messy like someone who danced at a crowded bar. It was messy like someone who laid down. I kept my voice steady. "Where were you?" She didn't even hesitate. "Team thing." I nodded. "Your phone was off for 6 hours." She sighed hard. "Here we go." "Lauren," I said, "I was 5 minutes away from calling hospitals." And she laughed. Not a normal laugh. A sharp one. "Ethan, you're always dramatic." That's when I asked the only question that matters. "Is there someone else?" Her face changed. Not anger first. Panic. Just for a second. Then she recovered. "How dare you?" I didn't move. Didn't raise my voice. "Is there someone else?" She stepped closer, eyes cold. "You don't own me." I stared at her and nodded slowly. "You're right," I said. "I don't." She looked like she expected me to fight. To beg. To spiral. Instead, I said the most dangerous thing you can say to someone who's been enjoying power over you, "Okay." She blinked. And for the first time in a long time, she looked unsure. Lauren stormed into the bathroom and slammed the door. Water started running. Shower on. Her version of ending the conversation. I sat there in the quiet apartment, Milo watching me like he was waiting for instructions. And that's when I saw it. Her old tablet on the coffee table. She used it sometimes for work emails before Apex Bridge upgraded her gear. She always forgot to lock it. The screen lit up. A message preview. No password. No effort. Just, the universe being brutally exact. "Jason, Apex, you made it home." Then another one, seconds later, "Jason, Apex, still thinking about tonight." That dress was trouble. My stomach didn't drop. It didn't explode. It went still. Like my body had already mourned this marriage weeks ago. I picked up my phone and took a photo of the screen. Clear. Time stamped. Name visible. Then I set the tablet back down exactly where it was. Because I wasn't there to argue. I was there to exit clean. I didn't wake her up. I didn't confront her with the message like a movie scene. I did what grown men do when they realize the person they loved has been living a second life. I packed. Quietly. Not everything. Just essentials. Work badge. Laptop. Documents. A few clothes. Toiletries. And Milo's stuff. His leash. His food. His favorite toy, the ragged blue one he carried like a trophy. When the shower turned off, I had maybe a minute. Lauren stepped out with wet hair, wearing a robe. For a second, she almost looked like the woman I married. Then she saw the suitcase. "What is that?" she asked. I clipped Milo's leash on. "I'm leaving." She scoffed like it was a stunt. "You're doing this because you're insecure." I looked at her, calm. "No," I said. I'm doing this because I respect myself. Then she noticed Milo. You're taking the dog. He's registered under my name, I said. And I'm the one who takes him to the vet. Her eyes narrowed. You can't just, I cut her off gently, like a doctor ending a conversation with someone who won't accept reality. I can. And I walked out. No shouting. No slamming doors. Just the quiet sound of a life changing. I stayed at my best friend Derek's place that night. Slept 3 hours. Then I went to work. Because my patience didn't betray me. And the routine kept me steady. On my lunch break, I did something Lauren never expected. I didn't post quotes. I didn't call her family. I didn't cry to mutual friends. I handled logistics. Like a professional. Our phone plan was in my name. So I transferred my number and removed hers. No yelling. No revenge. Just a boundary. 2 shared account streaming services, cloud storage, subscriptions, everything billed to my card. I changed passwords. Removed her access. One by one. Not to punish. To separate. 3 joint credit card. I called the bank. Explained separation. Asked for protection options. They froze the account. Which meant the next time she tried to swipe that card, it would decline. And she would finally feel something she hadn't felt in months, consequences. 4. The paper trail. Then I created a spreadsheet. Dates, charges, screenshots, messages. Not a diary. A file. Because the truth isn't a feeling. It's documentation. By the end of day 2, my phone was full of missed calls. Not, I'm sorry, calls. Not, please come home, calls. Calls that sounded like panic over lost comfort. And the final voicemail? She wasn't crying. She was furious. Because she had just discovered something that made her blood run cold. Not that I left. Not that I took Milo. But that the world she built on my stability, was starting to collapse. And she hadn't even seen the worst part yet. By the 3rd day, Lauren stopped calling. That's when I knew something had shifted. People don't go quiet when they're sorry. They go quiet when they're plotting. The narrative she tried to build I found out by accident. A mutual friend texted me, hey, random question. Are you okay? Like, mentally? That's when my stomach tightened. I asked what she meant. She hesitated, then said, Lauren mentioned you've been struggling. That you've been anxious. Controlling. That she's been giving you space so you can work on yourself. I stared at my phone. So that was her move. Not accountability. Character assassination. She wasn't just cheating. She was preparing witnesses. Because when people know they're wrong, they don't defend their actions, they discredit the person who might expose them. And suddenly, everything made sense. The calm tone. The confidence. The way she said I was replaceable. She didn't just think she could leave me. She thought she could rewrite me. That same morning, before my shift, I went somewhere Lauren would never think to go. Human resources. Not hers. Mine. I asked to speak to the HR director privately. I didn't cry. I didn't vent. I didn't bring drama. I said one sentence, I'm going through a divorce, and my spouse may attempt to contact my workplace or spread misinformation. I wanted this documented proactively. The HR director looked at me carefully. Then asked, is there any concern about your performance or mental health? I answered calmly, no. And there never has been. She nodded. We've never had any concerns. I'll note this conversation in your file as informational only. That was it. 10 minutes. But now. If Lauren ever tried to paint me as unstable. There would already be a time-stamped record saying otherwise. That's how adults protect themselves. 2 weeks later, the universe handed me the final proof. I was grabbing lunch near the hospital, nothing fancy, just a small cafe between shifts. I heard a laugh. Her laugh. The one I hadn't heard directed at me in months. I looked up. Lauren was sitting 3 tables away. With him. Jason. They weren't acting like coworkers. His hand was resting low on her back. She was leaning in. Close. Comfortable. Familiar. Not new. Not secret. I didn't confront them. I didn't interrupt. I took out my phone and took 3 photos. Clear angles. Faces visible. Body language undeniable. Then I stood up, nodded politely at them, like strangers, and walked out. Lauren's face went white. Not guilt. Fear. Because now she knew, I wasn't guessing anymore. Here's the part people don't understand. I didn't expose her immediately. I waited. Because revenge done in emotion is sloppy. And sloppy revenge backfires. I waited until the divorce paperwork was finalized. Until our finances were legally separated. Until my name was clean and protected. Only then did I act. Not as a husband. But as a private citizen. Apex Bridge had a strict policy. No relationships between supervisors and direct reports. Mandatory disclosure. Immediate termination if violated. Lauren reported directly to Jason. And neither had disclosed anything. So I sent an email. Anonymous. Factual. Cold. No insults. No accusations. Just documentation. Photos, dates, policy screenshots, timeline. I didn't ask for revenge. I let process do the work. Then I waited. 3 weeks later, my phone buzzed. It was Derek. You hear about Lauren? No, I said. Why? He paused. She's on leave. Jason too. 2 days after that. Jason resigned. Lauren was terminated. No severance. No references. No soft landing. Because corporations don't care about love stories. They care about liability. Lauren tried calling me that night. Not angry. Not confident. Desperate. I didn't answer. Because the last thing she said to me before all this? You're replaceable. Turns out. So was she. Lauren showed up 3 weeks later. Not dramatic. Not screaming. Quiet. That should have been my first warning. She knocked on my door like someone asking for a favor, not like someone who had detonated her own life. When I opened it, I barely recognized her. No power suit. No confident posture. No sharp tone. Just jeans, a hoodie, tired eyes, and a face trying very hard to look reasonable. I just want to talk, she said. I stepped aside. Not because I owed her anything, but because I wanted to hear how she planned to rewrite this ending. She sat on the edge of the couch like a guest who knew she overstayed her welcome. I didn't think it would go this far, she said. That was her opening line. Not I'm sorry. Not I hurt you. Not I was wrong. Just, consequences she didn't approve of. They fired me, she continued, shaking her head. Jason ruined everything. I stayed quiet. Silence makes people talk. They made it seem like I manipulated him, she added quickly. Like I planned it. Still quiet. She finally looked at me. You didn't have to do that, she said. There it was. Not sadness. Entitlement. I leaned back and asked calmly, do what? Her mouth opened, then closed. You know, she said. Report it. You knew what would happen. I nodded slowly. Yes, I said. I did. Her eyes widened. Not because she was shocked. Because she realized I wasn't ashamed. She took a breath, then said the sentence that told me everything: I never thought you'd actually grow a spine. I smiled. Not angry. Relieved. Because that sentence proved something important: she hadn't learned. She hadn't reflected. She hadn't changed. She just lost access. I stood up and said calmly, "You didn't lose your job because of me." She scoffed. "You lost it because you violated policy, lied for months, and assumed nobody would ever connect the dots." She stood too, defensive. "So you're just going to pretend you're the hero now?" I shook my head. "No. I'm not the hero." I paused, then said, "I'm just not the idiot you thought I was." She crossed her arms. "So what now? You win." That's when I realized how different we were. She thought this was a competition. I thought this was closure. I looked at her and said, "There is no winning or losing here." She frowned. "There's just the part where I stopped carrying you." That's when her voice cracked. "What am I supposed to do now?" And for a split second, I almost felt bad. Then I remembered, the nights she disappeared, the hotel charges, the way she called me replaceable, the way she tried to make me sound unstable, so I answered honestly. "The same thing you told me to do," I said. "Figure it out." She left quietly. No slammed doors. No final insults. Just the sound of someone realizing the world doesn't rearrange itself around them anymore. I didn't hear from her again. Not directly. But I heard things. Jason's wife filed for divorce. His golden parachute wasn't as soft as he thought. Lauren applied for job after job, and kept getting polite rejections. Turns out being terminated for an ethics violation follows you. Meanwhile, my life got lighter. I slept better. Worked better. Laughed easier. I got promoted 6 months later. Not because of the divorce. Because I stopped carrying emotional dead weight. About a year later, I ran into her at a grocery store. She looked surprised. Older. Not bad, just tired. We nodded. Nothing more. No conversation. No nostalgia. Just two people who once shared a life, now sharing nothing. I walked out with my groceries and sat in my car for a moment. And I realized something: I didn't feel anger. I didn't feel satisfaction. I felt peace. Lauren once told me I was replaceable. What she really meant was, she thought my stability would always be available, even when she treated it like furniture. She was wrong. Because the most dangerous man isn't the loud one. It's the quiet one who documents, detaches, and moves on. If your partner called you replaceable, would you fight to prove them wrong? Or would you do what I did, and prove you never needed them at all? Tell me in the comments. Follow real life stories for more.